What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan, and on this planet we send it. What we're going to be getting in today, we're going to be talking about my daily driver. And I believe this is probably the first time, or one of the first times I've ever talking about my daily driver on this channel, because normally it runs just fine, with the exception of this intermittent fault that I've been having, to where either the car dies on me or won't start, but then just wait 10, 20, 30 minutes later, and it starts up as if like nothing ever happened. So the plan for this video is I'm going to talk a little bit more about the background. I'm going to talk about what the solution is and why I think the solution is what I think it is. And then we're going to go ahead, and for those who want to stick along and see sort of a step-by-step replacement of this module, that is going to be super easy, definitely DIY. As long as you got some basic hand tools or understanding of tools, then you'll be able to do it too. All right, I got a plan in place. Let's go ahead and send it. And this is my daily driver. It's an Acura. It's an '03 Acura CL 3.2 Type S. And for those of you who are watching for my Jeep content, number one, thank you. But this is also kind of like the unicorn from Acura, similar to my LJ. They only made this particular body style from '01 to '03. And, with the exception of, some paint, and to be honest, I need to redo the upholstery on the two front seats, this car runs really good, and it's lasted me for almost 20 years now. It's a really great vehicle. So the problem that I've been having, I think, actually started probably about 5 years ago. So for the last maybe like three and a half years, to be honest, maybe for the last 3.5 to 4 years, every once in a while, I would start this vehicle up and it would just seem extremely sluggish, like it was just ready to die. I would rev it up a couple of times and then it would just die super fast. And so that's what was initially happening. Eventually, I would shut it off, turn it back on, and then it was like nothing was happening. And I wasn't getting any codes being thrown that I could check and, it tell me what the issue was. Now, over the last year or so, the car has actually been dying on me when I've been driving it. So it would start up just good, and then it seemed like I would pull up to an intersection, and it would just kind of die on me, and I wouldn't be able to start it up. Sometimes, as for those of you who know, if like it dies on you, and it's in drive, it would be like freezing on me, and I couldn't get the transmission back into park to even attempt to go ahead and start it. So, if I was on the side of the road, this could have been a really dangerous situation. Fortunately, I never really got it. I was never in any really dangerous situation. I got pulled over well enough to the side, off the road, I guess as safe as it could be. And then finally, it seemed after, 10 minutes or so, I'd be able to get it into park and I'd be able to go ahead and start it up. And I wasn't getting any code, so it wasn't able to tell me. And I would just drive into work or maybe drive home, depending on what the situation was. And as a matter of fact, when it would die and I was on the side of the street trying to start it up, it would just turn over like no problem. It did not seem like it was a battery issue. Had plenty of juice. I was able to crank it over for a few minutes, and I wasn't able to get it started up for, it seemed like, a little bit. Fortunately, my family, I have two certified mechanics in my family, and they started walking me through some of the problems or some of the potential solutions occasionally to get me off the side of the road. So let's talk about those. So initially we were thinking it was the idle control assembly, which you see I got here in my hand. And what we ended up doing is the reason why we thought that was because one time when I was having the issue, my brother, who's one of the mechanics in my family, had me push the throttle down to about half and attempted to start it, and it started right up. So that's why we were thinking the idle control assembly was failing. But it turned out it wasn't, because then it happened just a few weeks later before I got the part in, and then obviously before I replaced it, because I still got the part. I tried that again and it wasn't working. So this was not the problem. This was not the solution to the problem I was having. Next, we were thinking it was possibly the fuel pump. So I'm going to go ahead and prime it right now, or attempt to. Usually when you start it recently, I don't hear it prime, but let's see if we hear it. I don't know how well it came through on the camera, but I was able to hear it prime. So as long as it was priming, we were pretty sure it wasn't a fuel pump issue. So then our next effort to try to go ahead and figure out if it was a spark issue, if it was a fuel problem, or what the case may be, maybe an air problem, I went ahead and I took the air induct right here. I'm going to the air filter, and I went ahead and I sprayed in some starter fluid, and it started up, and it stayed running for as long as the starter fluid was in there, and then it shut off. So it seemed like for whatever reason, it wasn't getting any fuel. And as a matter of fact, one time I'd actually pulled, it died on me just about a mile down from my house, and called the tow truck because it wasn't starting for like 10-15 minutes. And this was the first time I was actually feeling happy that maybe it's going to stay broken long enough for me to figure out what it was. So I actually called the tow truck, having brought it back to my house. But unfortunately, by the time the tow truck got there, one of the things that they try to do is try to start it. It started right up. I was so frustrated. So up until that point, I was only having some of these single incidences, and then, you know, it would work just fine for a little bit longer. And I was only having these single incidences up until last week. So it was last Thursday. I was driving into work. It died on me on the way into work before I even got to the freeway. And, you know, I was like, screw it, you know, okay. I'm going to go ahead and just wait for it to start back up, and it did. I was able to wait 10-15 minutes or whatever it was. It started back up, and then I was making it about almost the 17-mile drive into work, and as soon as I got off the freeway, thank goodness, it died on me again. So what was different about this second time was all the other times it seemed like it died on me as soon as I let off the gas. Except this time, when it died on me for the second time, it's actually when I was on the gas and making a turn. So fortunately, I was able to get on over and park. So this was the first time I could remember explicitly that it died on me for the very first time while I was pushing the gas. So at this point, as I imagine you might be at this point too, I was starting to get low confidence in my vehicle, and I need to have a reliable vehicle to get to and from work, as we all do who need to drive into work. And so I decided, I was like, I was talking to my brother who's the mechanic. I was like, you know what, does it just seem like it's time we take it to the dealer? And I decided to take it to the dealer. So I dropped it off at the dealer, and as soon as I was heading back to my house, my brother who's the mechanic went ahead and gave me a call. It says, hey, check this video out. So I'm going to go and post a link to this Ash Let Me Fix It. She doesn't really make too many videos, and she had made this video probably about a year ago, and you know, I watched it, I was like, yep, the problem that she's having sounds exactly like what it was. And I'll briefly cover it to you, but like I said, I posted the video for you guys to see, and I'll put a link in the description just because, in case you guys want to watch it. But her problem was she would come out and try to start it, and it wouldn't start. Same thing I was having. It would turn over super fast, but it wouldn't start. So she would go back 30 minutes or an hour, I think she was saying, come back out, start it back up like nothing happened. So she at least didn't mention any time to where it died on her while it was actually coming out, while she was actually driving it. So that was the problem that I was having. So I feel that her problem and her solution was matching mine explicitly. So I reached out to her. I said, hey, it's been about a year. Have you had any issues since you replaced it? She said no. So this is what we're going to go ahead and replace. So I was fortunate for two reasons. Number one, Ash did the video and talked about the part that she replaced. And number one, she also let me know that it was, hadn't had an issue since. And number two, since the dealer was kind of backlogged and they were kind of taking me in without an appointment, they actually didn't do any diagnostics for the Thursday and Friday of last week. So I was able to pull the vehicle this morning. And we're going to go ahead and be replacing this fuel relay here just underneath the dash in the Acura. Let me go ahead and pull it out and show you what it looks like. So this is what the fuel management relay looks like. We're going to go ahead and let me show you real fast where it goes, just so you know that it's not necessarily in a very hard place to get to. But well, in an attempt not to maybe shine my camera on something that you can or cannot see, basically we are going to be getting right up under here behind this part of the dash. We just need to take this part off, take off a little bit of bracketry, and then this should slide in and out, and we'll just, swap out the modules. And if everything is like what Ash's success was, then that should fix the problem. All right, we know what the problem is. We think we got a good solution and we know how to repair it. Now it's just time to go ahead and send it. All right, first things first, let's go ahead and remove this panel here which is normally the fuse box. All right, we just removed this screw. I'm gonna go ahead and set this down real fast, and we should be able to kind of pull this off a little bit. Yep. All right, let's see if I can disconnect this with one hand. Yep, that was easy. Go ahead and put this in the other seat for a second. Let's see here. All right, so, all right, I want to show you when I'm loosening real fast. I'm loosening this bolt right here with the 10 millimeter, so it's kind of a two-hand job. But once I have that off, I should have the whole bracket with the module on it, and it should be easy from that point on. Be back in a sec. All right, so that bracket is loose, which this sits on. So now I'm going to try to sit you guys up in a good position so you can see me disconnected. But you can see I didn't disconnect all these wires in front of it. So I'm just trying to be delicate to make sure I don't pull anything that I don't need to. So we'll go ahead and try to disconnect this real fast. All right, well, after playing with it for a little minute, I just decided to take it to the vise. Seemed like once it squeezed down just a little bit, it made everything else a lot easier. So you can kind of see the tab and which way the round is in this. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on as such. All right, that's now on there. I'm going to go ahead and plug her in and then just bolt this up real fast. All right, so I want to kind of highlight something here, get these wires out of the way. Trying to get this nut back on there. I ended up doing it with some needle nose pliers to get it enough threaded on there. And I'm gonna be honest, it took me about 15 minutes to get that back on there. Once I get that on, everything else is gonna be good to go. But I wanted to at least be upfront with you guys and open and honest that if you go the route that I do and you just unscrew that bolt to get it out, getting it out took only like 5 minutes to get to that point. But once I got everything ready to hook it back up, it took me another 15 minutes. All right, got that connected. Now we just need to plug it in. Can't really tell. Let me move this up. Yep, looks like we're plugged in. I'm just examining the hooks here as I get ready to put this piece back on. So we got them pretty much here at the corners. All right, so it should be something like this. All right. Now we're going to come over here and plug this in. Got that plugged in. Let's go ahead and push this all the way up now. All right, I'm going to come over here and just screw that in. I'll take that off the camera. All right, that's down. Let's grab the side cover. Okay, moment of truth. Let's try to start it. All right, we are starting back up, so it looks like repairs are complete. All right, that's going to go ahead and wrap up this video. And just in case I didn't mention it earlier, the part that I got from AutoZone was about 60 bucks. So a lot better than the 180 diagnostic fee, let alone the part and the hour or so, whatever they're going to charge me if I were to have the dealer have done it. So definitely the better way to go if you're able to, you know, manage some tools just slightly and have a few around the house. It only took me, I think, a 10 millimeter wrench for the initial bolt, a flathead, and a Phillips screwdriver to really get out a bit of everything. And then you also saw the vise kind of help me out, but I don't think that was necessary. I just chose to go that route. So all in all, it took me maybe 45 minutes. That's included doing with all the video cameraing and everything. So not too bad. I think, you know, I got through the initial parts probably in like 5-10 minutes real fast. It took me about another 15 minutes though to get that one bolt on that bracket on there. That was the only frustrating part of this whole project so far. But if you're new to this channel, just so you know, if I have any problems problems, I will do a video immediately and let you guys know. So consider no news to be good news. But if you have a question, you just want to know how it's going, just ask me in the video and I'll get back to you, whether it's a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever. The OEM part took about 15 years, so should be pretty good for a while if you just want to ask me a question. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.